Welcome to the 1031 Exchange Passive Income and Investment Series. This show is brought to you by 1031navigator.com. 1031 Navigator is the best way to plan, execute, and complete your 1031 exchange with peace of mind and confidence while saving you both time and money.
Hey everybody, Timo here with 1031 Navigator. Hope you're doing well. Happy New Year. Of course, it's been a while since I've posted an episode because it's busy. When the market's hot and we're doing deals, there's not much time to post content and do things like this. But had a good reason to post an episode today, something I've been meaning to do for a long time. And another brokerage actually kind of prompted me to do it. When we work with clients and new clients, we ask them certain questions to make sure they're a fit for us and to make sure we're a fit with them. It makes the whole process a lot easier, avoids false starts, makes sure we're on the same page. And at the end of the day, we like working with people who like us and who we like. It makes the whole experience much nicer, and I think it shows in our our stats. About 70% of our clients are repeat or referral clients. So we get a lot of new leads, new inquiries all the time, but we probably only work with 10% of the people who contact us, just because we want to make sure there's a fit. And something along those lines is the good brokers I've worked with on the sell side ask a lot of pre-qualifying questions. They realize that price is not the most important things, that actually certainty of closing is important, ease of who they're working with, transparency, communication. There's a lot of other things that go into a deal besides price and just maximizing price. And I think certain brokerages around the country would disagree with me on that. But the good brokers I've worked with always ask really good pre-qualifying questions, either verbally, or maybe we set up a conference call, either direct with the principal or with me, or email. People will ask questions in writing because it's pretty hard to dodge questions, when you're on the phone with somebody or email. So I had a broker. Today we're making an offer on a small Dollar General deal. I've worked with the broker, I think, on 5 different deals. National brokerage. I really like working with them. Fellow CCIM, and they sent me I call it a laundry list of questions. And I was going to type them a reply, but we just did it over the phone. And I just wanted to briefly read the questions they ask, because these are some of the questions we ask people when we start working with them to see if they're a fit with us. And one of the reasons we ask them is we want to see how clients respond to the questions, and do they dodge the questions? Are they upfront? Are they wishy-washy? Stuff like that. And we also know that good brokers are going to ask similar questions. But this is probably the most comprehensive list of questions I've ever received. And it's a pain, and it's kind of annoying sometimes when people ask this many questions. But at the same time, if there's another offer on our deal and we answer these questions forthright and honestly and frankly, I think it helps pre-qualify my client, qualify me further. If I'm working with a new broker I've never done a deal with, and it helps us win deals, in a competitive environment when a lot of times you inquire on deals right now. Deals are under contract, or you see a deal Monday and the next day it's already under contract. So, but it's not uncommon. I think I've done another episode on this, but it's not uncommon for brokers to, for example, I call on Monday, the deal comes out to market. We're interested in it. We're going to make an offer on Tuesday, get ready to present the offer. And they say, oh, it's actually under letter of intent already. And so we move on, and bummer, we missed out. But then it's not uncommon for a broker to call me back in a month or 21 days or whenever their due diligence is up and their buyer flaked on their deal. One, because they didn't pre-qualify the buyer and the broker they're working with. They just went with the, who showed up first. I call it sitting. If they can sit upright and have a pulse and offer a price, that's who they go with. They don't look under the hood and see who they're dealing with, what kind of experience they have, what their 1031 situation is, things like that. But without further ado, here's the list of questions, and I'll post these on the blog also. But it's not uncommon for me to ask these up front, and definitely not uncommon for really good sellers brokers to ask them. But it's just something to be thinking about if you're in the 1031 marketplace, busy market, a lot of volume, a lot of activity. Certain deals are highly competitive. So it's, it makes sense to put your best foot forward, and maybe price isn't what you lead with. You actually lead with other, things in your portfolio or your experience or geography or things like that. There's financing contingencies. There's other things that might be pressure points for a seller or ways to relate with a seller that sellers like. For example, the offer we're making today is the client is a veterinarian, and who knows, the seller's daughter might be a veterinarian, or maybe the seller's dad was a veterinarian, or who knows, but there could be some connection. Let's say the buyer splits their time, and this is just hypothetical, the buyer splits their time between the Hamptons and Palm Beach, and if you tell a broker that, maybe the seller knows the buyer. Maybe they spent, maybe they go to Palm Beach occasionally, or there's other connections. I think people, what they own and other business experience, have they done multifamily? Have they done triple net? Things like that come into play. Have they done other 1031s? So all that stuff's important, and it to me, it's painting a comprehensive picture of why my buyer is solid and the certainty of closing is high with the people I work with. So without further ado, I said that last time, but here we go. So this is an email I received. Dear Thomas, do you mind answering a few questions below about the buyer real quick? Feel free to call me and go over verbally if easier. 1, where is the buyer from? 2, what's their primary business? 3, what other assets do they own and where? And then secondly, so part B of that question is, do they own properties with the same tenant as this deal? 4, is the buyer a part of a partnership? If so, how many partners are involved in the decision-making process? 5, do you have an exclusive with this buyer? 6, have you worked with this buyer before? 7, have they toured the property or been to the property? 8, are they familiar with the lease structure? 9, is this an all-cash offer? If so, where are the funds coming from? Sale of another property, investment account, etc. 10, are they in a 1031? What is the total amount to replace and how much cash? 11, if yes, what is their remaining time to ID the 1031? 12, if yes, how many other properties have they identified and what are those assets? 13, do they have other outstanding offers? 14, who is their lender? 15, what are their proposed terms and leverage? And 16, what would prevent the buyer from closing this deal? So to me, none of these questions are overly prying. They're all just straightforward business. And when I talk to people on the phone, new clients, if they can't give me answers to some of these questions, then they're not a client for me because they can't, be straightforward. If they're hiding something or they don't know. I guess it's one thing if they don't know what the answers are to the questions. And I can help educate people on what those, kind of what brokers are asking and why I'd be asking the question. But it's not uncommon for me to ask certain questions like this and have people kind of dodge the question or kind of be vague. And those people don't get my return calls and they don't get my return emails. I just move on to the next people. And same thing with the seller's broker. I asked this broker, I said, are these your questions? Because they've asked me similar questions before, but I don't think this list was as long. And he said, actually, a lot of these questions actually came from his client. And his client is a big national REIT, publicly traded company. And he said most of these questions come from them. That they gave him the questions a couple of years ago. They've been using them on buyers, and it helps weed people out really quick. So my feeling is, when you get questions like this, if you don't have anything to hide, it makes sense to be straightforward and be honest and give the answers to the questions. Of course, you don't want to minimize or negate your negotiating power or tactics. So there's a certain amount of temper, I think, and judgment you need to use, and tact you need to use when answering the questions. But basically, I think the deals where people answer these questions forthright and can answer the questions forthright, they get the best prices. They win the deal when there's 3 or 4 offers on the deal. And going from memory, 2 of my best clients, they have quite the portfolio. They have quite the portfolios to share, but they actually had one page. One guy had a 1-page letter with his portfolio attached, and another guy had like a 3-page letter with his portfolio. He owned like 100 properties, so he had like a 5-page letter with everything he owned. His education, his background, his family history background, all the buildings they've built, all the buildings they've invested in. There's a lot to be said for making your case. At the end of the day, we're doing a deal, but you do the deal with people. So building a relationship, and people like to know who they're working with, and they can tell their buddies. They can kind of make their assessment of how solid someone is or how flaky someone is, just like we do. And I think making a relationship, even if there's brokers involved, this is a way you build a relationship with people. If problems arise in a deal later, if you've been up front and answered questions and acted accordingly up front, that continues through the transaction, which I think is important. So, just my 2 cents on buyer pre-qualification and winning the deal. Hope you're doing well. And of course, if I can answer any of your questions on the podcast, or you want to just have a private consultation or whatever, let me know. My direct phone number, 970-618-4086. You can text me at that number also. Again, 970-618-4086. Thanks, and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the 1031 Exchange Passive Income and Investment Series. To help create, grow, and protect your wealth with 1031 exchanges and triple net properties, visit 1031navigator.com or call 1-866-539-1777. Again, call 1-866-539-1777. Make sure to remember to ask Thomas about our 1031 VIP program. You can put thousands of dollars in your pocket on your next 1031. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review it where your podcasts are peddled. And if you have a friend considering a 1031, make sure to share this show with them. A referral is the best compliment we can receive. Thanks for listening, and see you again soon. And remember, this show is provided for your informational and educational purposes only. Be sure to check with your accountant, lawyer, and/or other tax professionals and advisors before relying on this information. Although the information contained herein is believed to be accurate and reliable, we do not guarantee its accuracy or completeness, and it is provided without warranty. Common sense is the best practice.